On the battlefields of World War II, orders were not suggestions, they were survival. In moments of chaos, hesitation could cost lives. But what happens when a soldier refuses? In one tense encounter, a man stood his ground, choosing not to follow a direct command. The silence that followed was heavy. Every second mattered. Standing before him was George S. Patton, a commander known for discipline and decisive action. He gave him 10 seconds, not just to decide, but to face the consequences of that decision. Before we continue, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and support our history community. And don't forget to comment. By the later stages of World War II, Allied forces were engaged in intense operations across Europe. Speed, coordination, and discipline were essential. Every unit depended on clear communication and immediate response. There was no room for delay, no space for confusion. Orders were given with purpose and expected to be followed without hesitation. Commanders like Patton were known for their strict approach. They believed that discipline was not just about control, but about survival. A single breakdown in order could affect an entire operation. For soldiers on the ground, this created constant pressure, fatigue, stress, uncertainty. They had to act quickly, often without full information, trusting the chain of command. But war also pushed individuals to their limits. There were moments when exhaustion, fear, or personal judgment led to hesitation. Moments when a soldier might question an order or refuse it, and in one such moment, that decision would lead to a confrontation that would be remembered, not for its outcome, but for the tension it created. In the midst of operations during World War II, situations often developed quickly, leaving little time for reflection. On one such occasion, a British unit was preparing to move forward under orders that required immediate action. Among the soldiers was one man who hesitated. It wasn't open defiance. It was a pause, brief but noticeable. Fatigue, confusion, or concern about the situation ahead, whatever the reason. That moment stood out. In a system built on instant response, even hesitation could disrupt the flow of command. Word of the situation reached higher levels. Soon, the soldier found himself standing face to face with George S. Patton. The atmosphere was tense. Other soldiers nearby remained silent, aware that what happened next would carry weight beyond the moment itself. Patton was known for his direct approach. He did not waste words. He looked at the soldier and made the situation clear. Orders were to be followed. There was no ambiguity. Then came the ultimatum. 10 seconds, not shouted, not repeated, just stated. In that brief window, the soldier had to make a decision: follow the order or continue to resist. The countdown was not just about time. It was about responsibility, pressure, and the reality of war. Every second felt longer than the last. As the seconds passed in that tense moment during World War II, the weight of the situation became undeniable. The soldier stood still, fully aware that his decision would define what happened next. Around him, silence, no movement, no interruption. All eyes were on him and on George S. Patton. This was more than a simple order. It was a test of discipline under pressure. For the soldier, the conflict was internal. War had already pushed him to his limits. Exhaustion, fear, and uncertainty had built up over time. In that moment, hesitation wasn't weakness, it was human. But the battlefield demanded something different. Clarity, action, trust in command. As the final seconds approached, the tension reached its peak. The decision could not be delayed any longer. Then, he moved. The hesitation broke. He chose to follow the order. It was a simple action, but it carried meaning, not just for him, but for everyone who witnessed it. Patton said nothing more. There was no need. The moment had already delivered its message. In war, Discipline was not just enforced, it was understood through moments like this. And sometimes, the hardest decisions were made in silence. After the moment passed during World War II, the tension slowly settled. But the impact of what had just occurred remained. The soldier returned to his unit, and operations continued as planned. On the surface, everything moved forward as if nothing unusual had happened. But for those who witnessed it, the moment stayed with them. It wasn't just about obedience, it was about the pressure of command, the weight of responsibility, and the reality of split-second decisions in war. George S. Patton remained a symbol of strict leadership and discipline. Encounters like this reflected his belief that hesitation in critical moments could endanger lives and missions. Yet, they also highlighted the intense psychological strain placed on soldiers in combat situations. Over time, stories like these became part of the broader narrative of military history, not to glorify conflict, but to understand it. War is often remembered for battles, strategies, and victories. But it is also defined by small moments of pressure, silence, and choice. This encounter became one of those moments, a brief exchange, a countdown of 10 seconds, and a decision made under immense tension. In the end, it serves as a reminder that history is shaped not only by leaders and battles, but by individuals standing in difficult moments, where every second carries meaning. And sometimes, those seconds are what define the story.